host of the Gridiron.
Welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video up, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you're subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel out, description box below, very top link takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. And then finally, also, just underneath that, there's another link. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,500 members in the group. It is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, hey, as the thumbnail there says, Jesus parted the Red Sea. Look at that. Brian Dable and Shane and the team, they're walking through the whatever that sea was, the Red Sea, whatever that was, that parted the Red Sea. It's a miracle. Hallelujah. Woo! Giants, baby, going to the Super Bowl. No, really, if you, just looking at it, seeing the way the guys reacted, just the fans and, but just the players. You can really tell. They play. They prepare all this stuff to win the game. And we're going to go over a little more later on in our program here. There was a couple idiotic, just jackwagon, stupid, and moronic comments I seen in a couple of Facebook groups here. Just people just absolutely, unbelievably morons. It is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. But if you can just tell by the reaction of the players, after the game was over, Drew Lock, man, you couldn't wipe a smile off the guy's face. It just goes to show you, they try. As Herm Edwards says, right? You play to win the game. Hello, right? If you ever go back, Google that or YouTube it or whatever. Right? You play to win the game. Herm Edwards, right? That's what they play. They prepare to win a football game. Nobody goes in there to tank. Nobody gives a rat's rear end about Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe. Nobody cares anything. The only thing that matters to those football players is, I'm going to say whatever, 99% of them, 98, whatever. There might be a rotten apple in there. I'm sure that obviously there's always been, when you're that far, out of it, I'm sure there's always some guys, especially maybe if they're not coming back to the team next season, I hope I don't get hurt, playing on this scumbag team, man. We only got 2 wins. I don't want to jeopardize my career, not for this team, So, that's happened. Of course. But you can tell, obviously, whatever, 98% of the players or whatever, they're there to win. You only got 17 of them. A lot of these guys, only have so many games in their career. Sadly, possibly, maybe that might have been Darius Slayton's last Giant home game, unfortunately. Sadly. So, right. And unfortunately, he only, I think, look at the stat, but I think he only had the one reception, but he stumbled, bumbled, tumbled, whatever, into his way into the end zone. He's managed to keep his feet, right? got into the end zone. Of course, might be his last Giant touchdown because we got to play the Eagles next week. Now, you don't know what's going on there with the Eagles. If they need that game, if they don't need the game, are they going to rest some players? I would think they'd be stone cold crazy. Well, it's tough. You don't want to jeopardize your Super Bowl chances by putting Saquon in there, but it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see. But then again, without a question, without a shadow of a doubt, if they want to do it, he's getting the NFL record. And who else better to get the NFL record against than his former team, the Giants? Go off like 150, 200 yards rushing and shatter the. But it'll always have an asterisk next to it because he did not do it. He did not break Eric Dickerson's record in a 16-game schedule. So, but yeah, you have to wait and see. I can't stand Nick Sirianni. I don't think he's a very good coach. He's very lucky. He's been, I'm not going to go off too much on a tangent here on the Eagles right now because I can't stand him. He's been given pretty much almost the best team in football. Their GM, Howie Roseman, brings all these guys. They have no salary cap there. He just pushes literally $300 to $400 million in contracts just down the road. Void years on the end of the contract just so they can bring in good players. That's the only reason why. Not the only. That's one of the main reasons why. And they're very lucky because they're very healthy. But you don't know. As I say, I said I can't stand it. That's the only reason why the Eagles are so good. They're very healthy. They're very lucky. And I said they have no salary cap on that team. I don't think he's that great of a coach, and he's just to me a total scumbag. And so I wouldn't. I said I wouldn't. No. I can't see putting Saquon in there and trying to run for 300 yards. Obviously, once he breaks the record, I could see him pulling Saquon out. Then he only needs like 100 yards or so, whatever. And once again, we're going to talk about Saquon a little later in our program here. I said, so you don't know what's going to go on next week. Sitting him down, getting fresh legs and stuff for the playoff push could be huge, so because possibly they're going to have to play the following week. Right. So, if they can, Saquon, I don't know how many carry. I don't think it says here. How many carries? Nah. Well, it just says how many he has 2005. Doesn't say how many. I don't know how many rushes he has so far, but he's been a bell cow, right? He's had some long runs, and I said the only reason why he has that is because he's the offensive line he's behind. He would never do that with the Giants, right? I said, you don't know what's going to go on next week, but let's talk about this week. Thankfully the Giants, snapped the streak, right? They didn't go 0-9, right? 1-8, but. As I said, I mentioned in my video, I didn't think in my wildest dreams that they were going to score 45 points. But I always say, you got to play the games. You never know what's going to happen. Never know what's going to happen. Right? I said all the bad things that happened to the Giants is all season long. You can go one game to the next. Out of every 5 plays in a game, like 4 of them went against the Giants. Maybe the Giants got, when there were plays that happened on the field that made a difference in the game, whether it was a turn, and this is the first time all season, 16th game in, all time, the whole season, the Giants actually won the turnover battle. 16 games it took for the Giants to win a turnover battle. Another one of the reasons why the injuries, turnovers, bad Brown, just a lot of things. But I'm saying, a little dink and dunk to Malik. We're not talking, Drew Lock's in the pocket. He's got a beautiful pocket. He stands there for 3. He torches one down the sideline. Neighbors is running down the bees. He's past the corner. The safety's over the top, and he's gonna beat the safety. The ball's placed right there, and he gets him in stride. And the safety dives in his legs. He gets past the safety and goes off for an 89. That wasn't like that. Yeah, I mean, he hit him right, right, and it was some good blocking. So on the one play, Evan Neal was even out there trying to knock a guy on his rear end, right? And then Malik found his way into the end zone. The other one, right? I mean, he hit him on a real short route, and there was two dudes. He winds up splitting two dudes. The two dudes, I don't know, they ran into one another or whatever like that. And then he kind of he juked out another guy and down the sideline. He went for a I mean, nothing. You know, I mean, it's right. Got some good performance there, right? Yeah, got some good. Like, didn't make the tackle. The Colts, right? I mean, just right. The Slayton one across the middle. I mean, he got one or two guys had a chance at him, couldn't bring him down. He's like kind of stumbling, makes it in the end zone. Smith Marset, right? I mean, that's how you draw it up, right? I mean, there was that hole. I mean, you know. There wasn't didn't seem like there was a real, I mean, like you want to have a couple of layers to it. Like if somehow, right, the return man gets through the first layer, there's just like another layer or so behind that or whatever. It just seemed like it was kind of like more of like a straight line kind of thing, but there was a nice little hole, right? He went right through the hole. I mean, after he got through the hole, I think it was like the kicker was standing there. I don't even think the kicker touched him. The kicker tried, but, you know, he had full head of steam, faked the kicker out. Ran past the kicker, off and running. That's how you draw the stuff up. And I said all those turnovers the Giants got. I mean, you know, almost everything went the Giants' way. And which wound up being huge because the Giants couldn't run the ball. Right? I mean, Tracy had that 40-yard run. But other than that, he had 20 carries for 60 yards, I think it was. I mean, well, let's see, hold on. Tracy, 20 carries for 59 yards. So you take that one run away, he had 19 carries for 19 yards. He averaged one yard a carry. Yep. He had that one carry for 40 yards. Other than that, he had 19 carries, right? You know, so and then Singletary, 5 carries for 21 yards, okay? But, we ran the ball 30 times for 80 yards. I mean, Colts have a nice little front there. Thankfully, they didn't get a hold of Drew Lock. Weren't able to sack him. But, I mean, Lock, this is like unbelievable. This is a story, dream come true, right? 17 out of 23, 309 yards, didn't get sacked, 4 touchdowns, not one interception. Holy cow. I think it was a perfect 155.3. I'm not sure, or is it 156.4 is perfect. But if not perfect, it's darn near close. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Everything was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. It was... I think at halftime we had 21 points. It's that, but that's where, we had the big plays came in, which wound up being huge because, right, the Giants had 21 points at halftime. I think at halftime they had like 20, they ran 20 offensive plays. And what did they have for the game? I mean, they ran the ball 30 times. They had 53 offensive plays. Okay, so they had more offensive plays in the second half. But in the first half, they had 21 points. I think they had 20 or 21 offensive plays. They were on pace for about 40 offensive plays for the game. I mean, it was just, I think Locke might have been 7 out of 8. I think they had 12. They had somehow on 20 plays, they scored 3 touchdowns. It was, it's just, things just really, everything fell into place for the Giants for this game. Obviously way too few, too late, and all that stuff and everything. The defense gave up a lot of points. Flacco did present obviously a problem because he of course he had a couple turnovers, but he was 26 out of 38, 330 yards, 8.7 yards of pass attempt, which is really good. 2 touchdowns. He got sacked twice because he's a statue, but he had those 2 interceptions. Even his quarterback rating was a 90.9, so not too bad. But those 2 turnovers really, really hurt. But I said, he presented a different problem. He was a much better passer than Richardson was. Right? Richardson's not beating you with his arm. He'll beat you maybe with his leg. But of course, Taylor, 32 carries, 125 yards. He had that 2 touchdowns. He had the 26-yard run. So he averaged almost 4 yards a carry. He had a good game. Let's see what he got here. Of course, Neighbors. I mean, what can you say? Is that Wandell had 5 catches. Other than that, nobody else had more than 2. Tracy had 2 receptions. Slayton had the 1 for the touchdown. Manhurts had 1. Singletary had 1. And I said Tracy had 2. But I said, Wandell got 5 catches from 71. Of course, the 1 touchdown. Good for him. And then, of course, you got Malik. Right? What can you say? Right? 7 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 8 targets, caught 7 passes on 8 targets. I mean, just, Right? I mean, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal game. And you got to give credit where credit's due, right? You want to talk about Tracy and Neighbors getting it done in a 16-game schedule, and they keep saying, I mean, unless they're including the AFL from 60 to 69 in the AFL, if they're including that in NFL history, maybe, I guess, because they merged the 2 leagues, I guess, maybe. But in 1960, the Dallas Texans, who became in 63, who became the Kansas City Chiefs, had 2 rookies. Actually, and they were both running backs, though, which made it really that much more impressive. Have 1,000 yards as rookies, right? So they were the first to do it in 1960. Then the New Orleans Saints in 2006 with Marcus Colston and Reggie Bush, obviously the wide receiver, running back. But although with Bush, I mean, he was unbelievable. It wasn't so much it being a running back, but I mean, it was more of him also being a receiver. He caught a lot of passes as a running back. Whew. But so the New Orleans Saints in 2006, they had 2 rookies, right, running back and wide receiver, who both eclipsed 1,000 yards, and they did it in 16 games, right? Now, to be fair, the Dallas Texans / Kansas City Chiefs duo of Robinson and Abner Haynes, who did it in 1960, they only played 14-game schedule, right? So that's even more impressive. And but at least with the Giants, these 2 guys, 2 dynamic duos, did this feat, so they tied a feat, right? In 16 games. Didn't take them 17 games. So and the thing is, be interesting to see if they do put Saquon. It'll be very interesting decision, because if the Eagles, put Saquon in, and if he does get hurt, which he did with the Giants, of course, once again, good for him, good for the Eagles and all, but the Eagles are lucky because he got injured a lot with the Giants on grass and on turf, right? So it didn't matter the playing surface. He got injured. They've handed him the ball 3,000 times this year, and he's fresh as a daisy. So, but if he were to get injured trying to beat the record, that would, it's a decision Sirianni's got to make. So, but I mean, if Saquon does beat the record, he's going to do it in 17 games. So to me, that's. I mean, he got his 2,000 yards rushing, and that was a huge thing for the Eagles. That was huge. And once again, they're behind a fantastic offensive line. They got one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, right? But he was never going to do that with the Giants, right? So I said once again. So, but the Eagles anyway. That's that's next week. But you want to read some of this stuff here. But I mean, it's just it really does good. I mean, obviously, once again, we're going to talk about the draft, right? A little bit here, but I just want to read some of this stuff here because they come up with some all these stats that I'll never wind up in a million years thinking of. I don't. So we got talking about inside the numbers, right? So we got notes and statistics from the Giants' 45-33 victory, and the Giants, interestingly enough, also the Giants were there was, and of course they even showed this stat. Christmas, right? Is that when the Chiefs played? Was it Christmas? When they beat the Steelers? I think it might have been. But they're showing a stat, and it's still true, right? There was 4 teams. I think it was the Patriots. I know it was the Raiders, the Giants, and the Chiefs. There was 4 teams who had still not eclipsed 30 points in a game, and the Chiefs were one of them, and now they're 15-1. But the Giants were one of them, and so the Giants hadn't eclipsed. But so the Giants shot over 30 points, and it went to 45. Who would have thought in their wildest dream the Giants would have scored 45 points in this game? Just crazy, absolutely crazy. The Giants broke their franchise record 10-game losing streak and won for the first time since October 6th in Seattle. They are 3-13 and will end their season next week in Philadelphia, which clinched the NFC East. Now, the thing with the Giants is they still have not won a game in their division. This should be, if they lose next week against Philadelphia, we'll have to wait and see. Because they clinched the division. You don't know what they're going to do. Sirianni's a total scumbag. He might put his best to try to pummel the Giants, to embarrass the Giants. He's a scumbag, so he might bench and put his 37 string players in there so the Giants maybe win the game. If the Giants, as long as the Eagles don't need the game for their playoff positioning, right? I'm not sure. I do know they clinched the division. So if they are the number 2 seed and they can't hurt themselves either way, right, by winning or losing, he might rest all his players and put his 37 string players in there so the Giants win, so the Giants hurt their draft position even more. I could specifically see Sirianni doing that once again because he's a scumbag. But the Giants won in MetLife for the first time this season and avoided finishing winless at home for the first time since 1974, where they were 0-7. I said, but the Giants, if they lose to the Eagles, it'll be the first time ever in their history that they go winless in the division. So the Giants averaged an NFL of 14.3 points per game entering the game, recorded their highest point total since November 1st, 2015, when they lost that game to the Saints, 52-49. Drew Brees had 87 touchdown passes, and I think Eli Manning had 86. There was no defenses on the field. That was the first time in NFL history. They tried to have a game, and it said neither team could have a defense on the field. And it was rather entertaining. Neither team stopped either team. Every time the other team had the ball, they marched down the field and threw a touchdown pass. It's just games like that are just ridiculous. It's like a Madden game to me. Said the previous high point total in Brian Daboll's 3 seasons as head coach was 38. Also at home against the Colts, right? That was the final game of I believe, or second to final game, I guess. Second to final game against the in the 2022 season, because the final game of that season, I think, was when they played. I think they played the Eagles, the final game of that season, or whatever. But that was the 2022 season. So their 12-point margin of victory tied for the third highest under Daboll. They defeated the Colts by 28 points 2 years ago. Let's see. In their 3 home finales under Daboll, the Giants had defeated Indianapolis twice and the Eagles once by combined 110-53. So I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is, but the home finale. Remember last year we beat the Eagles 27-10, and we beat they were on whatever happened to them. They were, what did they start off, 11-1 or 10-1, and I think they wound up 11-6 or something like that. They didn't even get to 12 wins, so they were just on a free fall. But the Giants soundly beat them, right? So the final 3 home games that under Daboll, they won. Giants led 21-13 at halftime, and it was 21-6 at one point, ending their franchise record streak of trailing or being tied after 2 quarters. The last led at the half on September 22nd, 21-7 at Cleveland, and they basically hung on for dear life in that one because they didn't score any points in the second half. Giants twice led by 15 points, the largest lead since the 27-10 victory over the Eagles. For the first time this season, the Giants had a positive turnover differential with 3 takeaways and no turnovers, which is huge. And even Brian Daboll mentioned this too. He talked in his presser after the game was over. What he said was, I don't think he gave a timeline, but I think he said the last 15 games. So maybe prior to that, maybe it changed. But he said the last, because obviously, Drew Lock threw 2 pick sixes, right? Well, the last 15 times that a team, I'm not sure if it was a quarterback, but at least 15 times that a team threw 2 pick sixes in a game, they lost. Right? Let's see here. Giants ended a streak of 8 consecutive games with at least 1 turnover, which is huge. Right? And how did they do? I didn't even bother looking. Silly me. Their penalties. The last 3 games they had double-digit penalties. The last 3 games. How did they do here? They still had the Colts only had 3. They had still had 7 for 94 yards. So, not 7's a lot. I think 5 is not too bad. But 7 once again is a little high. 94 yards is not very good at all. Said the Colts had 3 penalties for 21 yards. That's what you're looking for. In his 4th start for the Giants, Locke completed 17 of 23, 309 yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a career high passer rating, 155.3. Locke also scored on a 5-yard run. 4 touchdown passes, 2 to Malik, 1 to Wandale, and 1 to Darius Slayton. Locke's 155.3 rating was the highest by Giants quarterback with at least 15 attempts since November 18, 2018, when Eli had a rating of 155.8 in their 38-35 victory against Tampa Bay. Manning completed 17 of 18 passes in that game. In the first half, Locke completed 7 of 8 passes for 153 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was a perfect rating of 158.3. The first by a Giant quarterback in the first half since Eli Manning on October 11, 2009 against the Raiders. Locke is the first Giants quarterback with 4 touchdown passes since Daniel Jones threw 4 in Washington. Locke posted the first 300-yard passing game by a Giant quarterback since December 31st of 2023 when Tyrod Taylor threw for 319 yards against the Rams. Neighbors led the Giants with 7 receptions for career-high 171 yards, including touchdowns of 31 and 59 yards. He increased the season total to 104 receptions, the second highest total in Giants history. Neighbors passed Odell Beckham, who caught 101 passes in 2016. He trails only Steve Smith, who had 107 receptions. So, I think, once again, it's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles do. The Eagles' pass defense, their defenders are very, very good. So if they have their starters in there, or maybe have their starters in there for half, it'll be a challenge for Malik to get 4, 5, 6 receptions. But if they're putting their backups in there, right, and they're and Malik's able to do, if Malik comes out of this game unscathed, he's healthy where he can play. I'm sure he'll play the final game. He ended up being almost dead. But, he has a very good chance of breaking Steve Smith's record set in 2009 of 107 receptions. Neighbors only 4 shy of the new NFL rookie record of 108 catches. Let's see here. That was set by tight end Brock Bowers, who also had 7 catches while playing the afternoon slot against the Saints. And the Raiders won that one too. Way to go, Raiders. But Malik has missed 2 games. I don't know if Brock's missed any games. So if Malik didn't miss 2 games because of that concussion, Malik would have well over 110 receptions. Malik could be looking at 120 receptions, which is absolutely freaking crazy on this team. Right? That would just be crazy. Neighbors is tied with Jalen Waddle, 104 catches in 2021 for the 3rd highest rookie reception total in history, behind Bowers and Puka Nacua, who had 105. Right? So regardless, for the most part, Neighbors should, even if he doesn't catch, even if Brock Bowers winds up winning it, once again, as he played in all the games, right? But regardless, Neighbors should be the second highest rookie total in NFL history. Right? I mean, on this team, this offensive line with second and third string quarterbacks throwing them the football, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a grand slam of a number pick 6. Let me tell you what. Let's see here. Bowers is second, and Neighbors is third in the league in receptions this season, trailing only behind Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who plays tomorrow night in San Francisco. Neighbors' 59-yard touchdown was his career-long reception. Neighbors' 171 receiving yards was the highest total by Giants players since Kadarius Toney, of all people, had 189 yards against the Cowboys. I obviously remember, I think he had 10 receptions for 189 yards. Neighbors increased his season yardage total to 1140, the 26,000-yard season in Giants history, and the first since Beckham in 2018 at 1,052 yards. Neighbors has the highest receiving yardage total by Giant players since Beckham, finished with 1,367 yards in 2016. Neighbors' 2 touchdowns increased the season total to 6, tying him with fellow rookie Tyrone Tracy for the team lead. Tracy's rushed for 59 yards to increase his season total to 780, which places him third on the franchise rookie list. Saquon has 1,307 in 2018. And our second ever draft pick, Alphonse Tuffy Lemons, had 830 yards rushing in 1936. But let's not forget when Tuffy Lemons did that, they either played 11 or 12 games, not 815 like they're doing nowadays. So if Tuffy Lemons in 1936, his rookie year, played 16 or 17 games, he would have had well over 1,000 yards rushing. But he did that in like 12 games. Right? So they got to keep that and remember that. Tracy did pass Ron Dane, who rushed for 770 yards in 2000, his rookie season. So, I mean, you look for, he has 780 yards now. Will he catch Tuffy Lemons? He needs 51 yards or 50 to catch Lemons, 51 to pass Lemons. That's going to be tough. This offensive line, once again, we'll have to wait and see what the Eagles do, who they put in there. But, I mean, if the Giants are playing from behind, it'd be tough for them to run the ball. So we'll have to wait and see. Neighbors increased his scrimmage yard total to 1,142, while Tracy also caught 2 passes, 14 yards, lifted his to 1,057. They're the third pair of rookies in NFL history since the merger. I don't know. Oh, the second since the merger. Okay. Let's see. Neighbors and Tracy are the first pair of Giants rookies to each have more than 1,000 scrimmage yards. They rank third and fourth among all rookies in Giants history, trailing only Saquon and Beckham. This is the first season since 2018 that the Giants have had 2 players exceed 1,000 scrimmage yards. Wandell caught 5 passes of 71 yards, increasing his career high totals to 83 receptions, only 656 yards, which is not impressive, but 3 touchdowns. So, but he has 83 receptions. So, he can wind up hopefully easily. Well, not easy, but he can eclipse 85 receptions next week against the Eagles if he gets a few receptions. And if he goes off, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be able to go off, maybe get 90. Who knows? But Amir Smith-Marset returned the second half kickoff for obviously the touchdown. It was Giants' first touchdown since October 25th, 2015, when Dwayne Harris, right? Remember him? Scored a run back versus the Cowboys, which is also 100 yards. Smith-Marset's return was the 24th in Giants history, including 2 in the postseason. Smith-Marset scored the second touchdown of his career and first on a kickoff return. Kayvon Thibodeau and Nacho each sacked Flacco, increasing the Giants' total this season to 43 sacks. They had like 35 sacks, it seemed like freaking 10 games ago. So their sacks have freaking plummeted big time. They had 43 sacks. That's 2 more sacks than the Giants had last season, right? And their highest total since they had 47 in 2014. Thibodeau also forced a fumble. Let's see. Elijah Chapman, Elijah Garcia, I do believe teamed up to stop, I think, Taylor on a 4th down play which was very impressive. Nacho sacked Flacco. The Giants forced a turnover on an opponent's opening offensive possession for the third time this season. Dory Jackson forced him to recover on December 15th. Dory Jackson forced him to recover Lamar Jackson fumble. Right? Remember that one? And then, of course, in the season opener versus Minnesota, Drew Phillips forced a fumble by C.J. Ham. Flacco is 39 years old and 347 days old. Wow, he's almost 40 years old. He's the oldest starting quarterback to face the Giants since Tom Brady did it when he was 44 years old back in 2021. Defensive lineman Armon Watts was carted off the field with a knee injury. He was activated off injury reserve yesterday after missing the previous 4 games with a shoulder injury. Unbelievable. So apparently Armon Watts might be the 28th player put on injury reserve for the Giants this year. Giants have more than half a team got put on injury reserve this year. And you wonder why the Giants' record is one of the big reasons why the Giants' record is 3-13. They have more than half a team on injured reserve. Let's see, the Giants' inactive players were Micah McFadden, John Michael Schmitz, Corey Durden, Greg Stroman, D. Williams, and Tim Boyle. Schmitz was sidelined after starting each of the first 15 games. Greg Van Roten moved over center. Jay Kubas started the right guard after playing on the left side last week. And Aaron Stinney started his second game of the season at left guard. The Giants used their 9th starting offensive line combination of the season, which is another recipe for disaster. One less than they deployed in 2023 and one less than the league-leading New England, which lined up 10th different line in their loss to the Chargers. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. I mean, basically, you need that consistency, right, on the offensive line. And the Giants have just not had that. I mean, it's their 9th starting different, and who knows, right? Next week could be their 10th. You don't know. You have to wait and see what the injuries, if anybody got nicked up, anybody's going to miss time or whatever. Somebody coming back, right? I mean, maybe Michael Schmitz comes back and they keep somebody else in, move somebody else over someplace. So you don't know. But I mean, they're 9th, right? Once again, I said I keep bringing up the Eagles because I can't stand them. I'm sure the Eagles have only probably had like maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most different. Because they're nice and healthy. Everybody's healthy. You got the same guys in there every week, right? The Giants can't have that, right? Injuries. So once again, another one of the reasons why the Giants are 3-13. But I mean, after this season's over with. And by the way, once again, great job for the Giants. We're going to go a little bit more, talk about the draft and all that stuff and everything. But that's what you want to have happen. The final game of the season. They gave the fans it was a great atmosphere. I'm not sure how many people were there, but it was a great atmosphere, and you can tell the players are thrilled to death to come away with the dub. Right, something they hadn't done all season. Right, but so after this season's over with, the Giants next have a decision to make on Mr. Kayvon Thibodeau. Right, after having as many. Now, once again, he was injured. He missed some time. That was it. Because, I mean, the amount of sacks he had last year was that kind of a contribution of, he played in all the games, but was that also like a Wink Martindale where he got schemed or, his win rate was not very impressive last year. His rush win rate, not very impressive, but he did have all those sacks. This season, I mean, I think he has like 3 sacks all year. I mean, he's going to have a hard time, sitting down at a table with Shane and saying, "Yeah, I want $25 million a year." He's going to be. And Shane's like, "Let's put on your sack. Let's put on your your highlight film here. Let's see how many sacks you." So they got themselves a 2 or not 2. Pick up the 5th-year option. Now, of course, that also includes Evan Neal as well, too. Ooh. Boy, that's Evan Neal. I don't know. I mean, Tell you what, you see, Neil gets out there in the run. I mean, he wants to play. You can see he puts people on his fannies in the run game, but you're not sure, if he's a part of the Giants' future, especially if the Giants, for whatever reason, don't want to put him inside for whatever reason. I have no idea. Once again, no idea. I mean, if GVR does not come back, I could see maybe not. Right? If you don't try to put Evan Neal in a guard, because we got Illuminor for next year, we got Andrew Thomas coming back. We got Illuminor and John Michael Schmitz. You got Runyon. You got a spot open there at guard. I mean, if the Giants just like, if they're going to pretend to be like 2-year-old children and hold their breath, nope, you can't make me do it. I'm not going to put Evan Neal in guard. Nope, not going to do it. I'm going to hold my breath. Nope. I mean, if they're going to be like absolute total idiots and not try him at guard, I don't know. I can't see him possibly picking up his 5th-year option. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense to me at all. But is this it? There we go. So with the Kayvon now, right? I mean, last season's draft was really, really good. We're going to need another. We're going to need that again this year. I mean, if we have any hopes and dreams of aspirations of turning this thing around at all, right? We'll have some money to spend, right? And we'll have to see what the Giants wind up doing, how they wind up spending some of their money. They don't have a ton of money, but they'll have some money. But they can really use another good draft. That would really, really help. Right? I mean, look, we got Tracy, who's a starter. Theo Johnson is a starter. Malik Neighbors is a starter. Phillips is a starter. Newman's a starter. We got 5 guys, 5 starters. And they all seem like they're pretty. I'm not saying they're all Hall of Famers, but they look like they're decent players. If we can pick out another 3-4 starters or so out of this draft coming up, that would be huge, absolutely huge. Not to mention bringing in some people from free agency. But I mean, if you look back, a couple of years ago, I mean, we had pick number 5 and pick number 7. Man, I tell you what, it sure would have been nice if we hit those babies. I mean, I'm not going to go back and look at the draft and say, well, if we pick so-and-so instead of Neil, if we pick this guy instead of Kayvon, man, that would have been, I'm not going to do that right now. But, pick number 5, you got 2 picks in the top 10, man, that should be like, a major leaguer just throwing the ball up and just, creaming it out of the park. But man, here you are a couple years later, just kind of scratching your head. Pick number 5 and pick number 7, and we're not even sure if we're going to pick up the 5th-year option on either one. I mean, that's horrible. Now, I don't want to say you want to give Shane a little bit of leeway the first year, because when he came in, he hadn't been here. It's not like he had his coach, his draft, scouts and all that in place, and they had to have, this is the kind of guy we're looking for and all that stuff. And the season, the college football season was over with, and not that Shane wasn't aware of people and all of that and everything, of the college players. But it was kind of, he was kind of meeting his guys. Oh yeah, you're my scout. Oh, how you doing? Yeah, I mean, so now he's able. He's been here for a while. He has people in place that he knows and all of that. And I said, the fruits of their labor really showed last year. But I mean, to have picks number 5 and pick number 7, as I said, here we are a few years later, and it's like, man, I don't even know if we're going to be picking up the 5th-year option on these guys. That's not good. That's not good at all. All right, so Giants face a big decision on the Kayvon, right? Shane Bowen was not with the Giants when they were evaluating all the prospects in the 2022 NFL draft, meaning Bowen had nothing to do with the selection of outside linebacker Kayvon with the number 5 overall pick that year. As their first season working together, nears its ends, Bowen has not exactly seen Thibodeau take a quantum leap forward in his development as a defender. Now, once again, that could be a scheme. Who knows, right? In 10 games, Thibodeau has 3 sacks and 22 tackles. 22 tackles in 10 games. So once again, I mean, even if it's scheme, is it asking too much to get a little more than 2 tackles a game from your number 5 overall pick? Is it, look, she's averaging 2 tackles a game. And once again, I mean, he hasn't obviously Kayvon hasn't, they're not talking long contract extension or nothing like that. We're just talking right here. We're just strictly talking picking up his 5th-year option. That's all. But I mean, I said, I don't know if it's, how Bowen's been using him compared to what Wink was using him. Don't know. But he had 5 forced fumbles in his first 2 seasons, but none this season. He started the first 5 games, missed 5 straight games with his wrist. I mean, that is what it is, right? And returned to play in the past 5 games. Obviously, he missed a lot of time there in the middle of the year, Bowen said, which is a big part. I mean, we talk to all these guys about improving as the season goes, and then you get, unfortunately, injured, and you're on the shelf for however long. But I've been pleased with the way he's progressed, and he's put on tape here these last few weeks. And really, last week, I thought it was probably one of his better games, like flying around, playing physical, and he's done some really good things for us. But I mean, that's, a lot of that is also, coaches, I mean, just, trying to, I don't know, being coaches, just trying to, just, right. Oh, he's smart. He's tough. He's physical. He pays attention. He's detailed. I mean, just the, the stuff, the common ordinary lingo, right, that just comes out of coaches' mouths as they're speaking to the press. Oh, he's done some really good things for us. Yeah. I mean, I've really been impressed with his attitude. I mean, he's smart. He's detail oriented. I really like that. He comes in with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, it's like, what does that mean? Right. So is that actually coaches actually mean, or they trying to hide something, But I mean, it's like talking to Mike Kafka. He don't give you anything. I mean, right. Thibodeau's 23, is eligible for a contract extension, but that is unlikely to happen as he will not be coming off a strong season from a production standpoint. He had 11.5 sacks in 2023. Giants must decide this spring, right? They want to exercise the 5th-year option on Kayvon, which would guarantee him an estimated $16 million for the 2026 season. To me, I think at this rate, $16 million. I think that's. I mean, especially because you figure, right? In 2026, you figured. I mean, the salary cap's going to obviously go up twice since then. It's going to go up in the 2025, and it's going to go up. So to have him on his roster for only $16 million, I think to me that's a no-brainer. Right? I think that's a no-brainer. Then after this, they talk about the end of this article. All they do is they talk about Malik Neighbors and all that. But the Giants have they got a decision to make. And that's the thing, is you have to do it to pick up his 5th-year option. I'm not sure where they got the $16 million. Right. I said to me that's kind of a no-brainer to get somebody, as I said, even if he only had 3 sacks and all of that. I said, you don't know how much of that, when he came back from his wrist, right? How much did that hinder him? As I said, let's not forget last season, I think he played in every game. Let's see here. Yeah, he played last season. I wasn't sure if he missed a game or not. He played in every game last season, and he had 11.5 sacks. He had 50 tackles, but 11.5 sacks. Right. This season, I said he's played in 10 games. He has 3 sacks and he has 22 tackles. So I mean, if he gets 1 sack in this game coming up against the Eagles, he will tie his rookie mark when he had 4 sacks. But I mean, you look, I mean, he's had 18 and a half sacks in 41 games. You know, I mean, he's not even getting half a sack a game. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see. As I said, once again, I don't know if it's how Bowen's using them or what Bowen's asking them to do compared to what Wink had him do. You know, because Wink is attack. I mean, so is that why Kayvon got 11 and a half last year and he only has 3 this season? Who knows? But it'd be interesting to see, you know, if there's a point in time where, you know, Kayvon sits down or his agents or whatever, you know, and they start talking. Let's talk money here. You know, Kayvon wants 25 a year. And Shane's like, whoa there, doggy. He gets 3 sacks a season. He wants 25 mil. Yeah. Huh, you sure about it? You know, so. But I think to me, picking up this 5th-year option at $16 million, I mean, I think, you know, I think they'll wind up doing that. Yeah, that would wind up saving himself some money. But, I mean, sign him to a long-term deal, I don't know. I'll be interested because I mean, it's like, how much do you want to spend on that front wall, right? Because if you sign him to a long-term deal or extend them or whatever, you know, you're putting them up at 16, 20 million a year. You got Burnsy, 28 or 29. Sexy's at 22 or 23. That's an expensive front wall. Let me tell you what, and especially, I mean, you know, we gave what 33 points. I mean, you know, this defense has not been rock solid, right? So, but then again, Sexy's not there, Bobby Okerike's not there, Mike McFadden's, you know, so we had some, you know, we had some players missing though too. So, but yeah, you got to wonder how much do they want to spend on that front wall, that defensive front wall. All right. So, you know, of course, you got to talk about us. You got to talk about us, right? All right. Hey, we're number 4. We're number 4. We're number 4 in the draft order. Yep, according to Tankathon. Yep. Now, the thing is, the one nice thing, okay, I didn't look to see. Let's see. Tankathon, right? Now, obviously, New England is number 1. Okay. Now, they don't need a quarterback. The problem is the 2 teams in front of the Giants do need quarterbacks. You got Cleveland and Tennessee. Now, Cleveland just restructured Deshaun Watson's, you know, they put a couple void years on it, but I can't even fathom them trying to think that Deshaun's going to be the quarterback long term for the future. If they got a chance, if they like either Water or say whatever, maybe the sloppy seconds, whoever's left over. Right now, let me see. Let's see who. Let's see, Cleveland. Who's Cleveland playing here? Oh, that doesn't tell you. The schedule. Oh, they're playing the Ravens. Okay. At Baltimore. Ravens are probably going to need that game. Probably going to want that game. I don't know. I mean, actually, to tell you the truth, I don't know. I'm not sure if they have the division sewn up or not. That I don't know if they have any playoff implications in that game or not. But Cleveland's playing in Baltimore. That's quite possibly a loss for Cleveland, right? All right, then we got, who else we got here? Then Tennessee. Who's Tennessee playing? They are playing Houston at home. So, you know, Houston's not been a house of fire, so anything's possible there. Right? So, but Tennessee and Cleveland could use quarterbacks, which might leave the Giants on, on the outside looking in. I guess is how you say that, right? But that could be a good thing for the Giants. Right? I did a video, was it last night? I think it was. You know, are there any quarterbacks worthy? As I because if you want just PFF, that's all I'm going by. Cameron Ward is the 19th ranked player. Now you say, I mean, you get these runs on quarterbacks like we had last year, right? You know, but he, according to PFF, that's all I'm going by, right? Cameron Ward is the 19th ranked college player coming out. Now, I'm not sure if that includes the bowl games and stuff, because Shador was 29th. And that didn't include the bowl games. So I don't know if they're going to put the bowl games in there, because Shador did not have a banner bowl game. Let me tell you what. He had one garbage time touchdown. I think with 10 minutes to go in the game, he had 121 yards passing with 10 minutes to go in the game. 121. 105 of it was to Hunter. That means he had 16 passing yards to the rest of his team in the first 50 minutes of the game. I think he had 2 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions, but I said the one touchdown was like with 2 minutes to go in the game. Just to kind of, I don't want to say pad the stats, but you know what I mean? They were getting creamed by Brigham Young, and he didn't look very good. If he's not looking too good against Brigham Young, what's he going to do if he ever gets behind the Giants' offensive line? Kind of makes you wonder. But so this might also put the Giants in position. Now I'm just saying, all right, say Hunter goes 1. I could see that. And then just say Cameron Ward goes 2, Shador goes 3. Now the Giants have their pick. There's some good players here, some decent wide receivers, but there's some good one defensive tackle. There's a couple good cornerbacks, tackles, good draft of tackles. If the Giants want to do that, I would just. I'm not getting cute and sexy, nothing. I'm plugging the trenches. Boom! I'm hitting the trenches hard. If there's a good defensive tackle there that wards that pick, I'm going there. Or the Giants, for some reason, if somebody wants to jump up to pick number 4, I'll move back if I'm the Giants and maybe pick up some extra draft capital. That's cool. But unfortunately, with the Giants, it's because the Giants, I said the one problem the Giants had was always their strength of schedule. Now, there's 4 teams that have 3 wins. And of course, the Giants are number 4 because of their strength of schedule. Where are we at here? Let me go back here. Giants' strength of schedule is 551. The Browns is 540. The Tennessee is 513. And New England's strength of schedule is 469. So basically, probably. All right, now there's no guarantee, but I'm saying if all 4 of those teams lose next week, quite possibly with the strength of schedule, the Giants will probably still remain number 4. Okay. Now, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Let's see. I didn't even look. Let's see. Who's New England going up against here? Maybe somebody in their own division. They're playing Buffalo. Oh, that's weird, man. It's so weird. They played Buffalo 2 of the final 3 games of the season. That's freaking weird. They just played Buffalo 2 weeks ago. Well, it was a tough game, 24-21. And actually, it was like it was a fluky. It was kind of a lateral that the Buffalo defense recovered like in the end zone, I think it was, for a touchdown. Well, it wasn't in the end, it was right by the end zone, which helped set up a touchdown. So the Patriots really played them tough 2 weeks ago in Buffalo. So the final game of the season is at home, right, against Buffalo. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win it. Buffalo might need that game. Or they may not. They might have number 2 sewn up, maybe. They only have 3 losses. They might have the 2nd seed sewn up, so they may not need. So Patriots might win that. I'm saying the thing is, what winds up, is if the Patriots fall out of that, the Giants, there's only, and there wind up being 3 teams. Say the Titans, the Browns, and the Giants wind up with 3 wins. The Giants will still probably be the 3rd, right? And they might still be on the outside looking in as far as one of those quarterbacks. But I said that could be good for the Giants. Could be. Not saying it is. Could be. Is there a quarterback worthy in this draft of a top 2 or 3 pick? You don't want to reach. You don't want to say, we need a quarterback. We're taking a quarterback. Now, also the problem is that, Shane and Dable been given like a little bit, might have another year or so, right? If they take a quarterback in this draft here, that might give them 2 years, right? So do they reach and try to grab a quarterback in the first round just so they can take a quarterback? So they, that might be a disaster. might be just a stone cold disaster. If not, they have to go obviously get a bridge quarterback somewhere out there, right? Unless Darnold comes available and they bring him in and sign him to a contract. Who knows? Because look what he's doing with Minnesota, right? But it's going to be very, very interesting. But I said, so the Giants fell from because thankfully, hey, last week when the Raiders were number one, right, and they won, and they went from 1 to number 6. So the Giants, because a couple of the teams that won and all, right, so the Giants only fell to number 4, which unfortunately might take them out as of right now. Still got a game to go. But as of right now, it looks like it took them out of the quarterback market, but might set them up for whoever is the top-rated player on the board. So there's a couple good cornerbacks. We're going to need a cornerback. Doesn't look like Tay Banks is the man for whatever reason. I don't know. Does not look like he's the man. Maybe we can take him and slide him over to the maybe cornerback number 2. We can have Flott, right? We can have Banks. You got Phillips in the slot, who's doing very, very well. And if we go out and draft another cornerback who can actually be a number 1 cornerback, wouldn't that be? We've drafted 37,000 cornerbacks, and we still don't have a number 1 corner. I mean, you go back to Eli Apple and DeAndre Baker, right? And Banks, all these cornerbacks were taken in the first round. And for whatever reason, we can't draft a cornerback, who is a number 1 cornerback. It's just mind-boggling how we can't do that. But there's a couple cornerbacks out there, some defensive linemen would be fantastic. I said, if it's me, I'm not getting sexy. If the guy warrants it, right, I'm there after the defensive lineman, put right next to Sexy Dexy, and hopefully try to solidify that defensive wall. It all starts in the trenches. So we'll have to wait and see. But once again, you got 1 game left to go. Anything's possible, right? So we'll have to wait and see, right, where the Giants wind up falling. But if it was meant not to pick, I mean, hey, you don't know. That could be one of the greatest things that ever happens to the New York Giants, this win. You don't know. Because we could be talking 2-3 years from now, right? Remember when the Giants had the number 1 pick and they were going to take Shedeur Sanders? Remember that? Well, where's Shedeur now? He's bagging groceries at Walmart, right? Because he's not that good. Or remember when the Giants might have been taking Cam Ward, right? Remember? Pike possible the number 1 pick, man. Well, where's Cameron Ward at now, right? He's a backup, or he's sitting on the bench for the Buccaneers or something like that. So this could be the greatest thing that ever happens to the Giants. So you just don't know, right? It is what it is. But this is interesting here. Was Gettleman right all along? Well, and the one thing I remember him talking about, right, was always they talked about him getting the number 2 pick, right, in the draft. And he says he envisioned somebody with a gold jacket, right? Wearing a gold jacket with the number 2 overall pick. And of course, you can go back and debate this until the cows come home. Who coulda, woulda, shoulda, woulda took, and all this stuff and everything. But he had visions of a gold jacket, a special player to draft. Now, of course, unfortunately, to get the best out of that special player, you got to put him on obviously a good team, right? And I've said this, quite a few times, and I'll say it till the cows come home. The guy, and you can. There's tons of examples, right? But I always say this one: 1972, the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted a running back by Franco Harris, right? Very good out of Penn State, very good running back. Well, with Pittsburgh, he became a Hall of Famer because he was on a great team, right? If the Giants had 2 first-round draft picks in 1972, they used them both on defense. But I mean, in 1972, in the first round, the Giants selected Franco Harris in the first round with one of those 2 picks. He's never sniffing the Hall of Fame unless he goes there and pays admission and gets a ticket and enters the Hall of Fame. He's not going there. It's not so much. It's all a lot of it's obviously has to do with your ability. A lot of it also has to do with your availability, but a lot of it has to do with where you go. Right now, as we've seen, right, we've seen Saquon do some miraculous, especially his rookie season, right? Over 2,000 all-purpose yards. Right? He's done some miraculous things. He had 91 catches, I believe it was, his rookie season. Right, some miraculous things. Right, really, really good. I mean, he's had some injuries and all that and everything, but I mean, the amount of rushing yards that he has, especially this year, right? And he's never doing that with the Giants. So a lot of it's where you are, right, where you go to, right. Now I know Gettleman. I'm not gonna go back and look and he brought in a lot of offensive linemen to try to fix this offensive line and stuff, and maybe we just didn't have the good coaching, or maybe some of the guys got injured. I'm not going to go over. I said all those the players he brought in and drafted and all that to try to fix this offensive line, but never got fixed. But I said he had visions of somebody really, really special. And of course I said you can go back and we can argue this till the cows come home. But in this draft where we had here, 2018, there we go. Right. Now, of course, at the time, the Giants needed offensive line. Now, I was kind of hoping we would have drafted Quentin Nelson, but he drafted, Saquon. Baker was gone, Baker Mayfield. So, but I mean, obviously, Sam Darnold was right after Saquon, right? Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb, Quentin Nelson. Of course, then the Buffalo took Josh Allen. Now, the thing was I guess with Gettleman was what he want. I don't even know what they thought of Josh Allen. I don't even know if he was even in the ballpark. You know what I mean? But Buffalo moved up I believe to get the guy, right? But I don't even know if Josh Allen was even an option for that. I didn't even think about it. But what Gettleman wanted to do, obviously, was to bring in some influx of talent, right, to help Eli maybe make that one final Super Bowl run. Because remember in 2017, we drafted Evan Ingram, who shown he can do good things. It was just when he did really good things was with Jacksonville, right? But he's shown he can do good things, right? He drafted Evan Ingram and wound up being, with the Giants, it didn't totally pan out. But worked out pretty well, with the Jaguars, Evan Ingram, right? But I mean, bringing in, we had, of course, we had Sterling Shepard, right? We had Odell Beckham. I said, we drafted Evan Ingram, brought in Saquon Barkley. What he was trying to do, and he brought in, some offensive linemen to try to fix the offensive line, which never worked out. But it seemed like what he was trying to do was get a nice bunch of talent around Eli, maybe make that one more magical push toward a Super Bowl run. That's what it kind of seemed like what they were trying to do with Eli toward the end there. But that was one of the big reasons why they drafted Saquon. Right? He saw visions of a gold jacket. Now it could be interesting to see because Saquon has over 7,000 yards. Right? If he winds up, I think he signed, was a 3-year deal? A 3-year deal, I think, with the Eagles, right? So if he winds up, I mean, could you imagine? I mean, if he has another, if he gets another 3,000 yards, right, in the next 2 seasons with the Eagles rushing the ball, I mean, that would put him at 10,000 yards. Now, obviously, 10,000 yards does not make a Hall of Fame, does not a Hall of Famer make, but I mean, you have to start thinking. Right? But he had, let me see where we at here. I want to try to find. Oh, there you go. Okay, so obviously Eric Dickerson's got 2,105. Saquon's got 2,005. So he's 100 yards away, okay, from tying Eric Dickerson. 101 to pass. Now, he can do that, I'm sure, with his eyes closed. If they go, if next week, next Sunday, they go balls to the wall, right? Every play is a handoff to Saquon, and their offensive line is just in there, just plowing guys over and stuff like that. We're pretty much helpless. We can probably put 37 guys in the box, and Saquon's going to get 101 yards. You can mark it up. So the thing would be like as soon as he breaks the record, does Sirianni take him out? Well, does he even put him in there? Who knows? We'll have to want to wait and see. But he's only 100 yards away from the record. Now, there's always going to be an asterisk next to it, especially in my book. He does not have the record because, and even to me, even Eric Dickerson does not have the record. O.J. Simpson has the record because O.J. Simpson did it in 14 games. Eric Dickerson did it in 16 games. O.J. Simpson ran for, was it 2000 and what was it? 2003, 1973. 14-game schedule, ran for 2,003 yards. He averaged like 150 yards a game, okay? If he played in 2 more games, he would have probably, on that average, would have another 300 yards. He would have had over 2,300 yards rushing in a 16-game schedule. Eric Dickerson only had 2,105. So to me, O.J. Simpson has the record. He's the first one to eclipse 2,000 in a season, right? And he did it in a 14-game schedule. All these other players, right, had it. And I'm not sure if any of these guys missed a game here or that. That I don't know. I know Saquon hasn't missed a game. He's played all 16 games. Of course, a lot of times with the Giants, he gets injured. But when he's with the Eagles, he's lucky enough that and they're lucky he's staying healthy. But I said, well, Chris Johnson had 2,006 yards. Terrell Davis had 2,008. Derrick Henry at 2,027. Barry Sanders, 2,053. Jamal Lewis, 2,066. And Adrian Peterson, 2,097 in 2012. And, of course, Eric Dickerson had 2,105 in 1984. Those are all 16-game schedules. Right, Saquon's the first one here, it looks like, right? Yeah, because Derrick Henry did it in a 16-game schedule in 2020. But Saquon he's the first one getting close to it in a 17-game schedule, right? But I said, to me, O.J. Simpson has the record, 2,003 yards in a 14-game schedule. To me, that's so. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles decide to do next week against the Giants. But kind of makes you wonder, you know what I mean? Was Gettleman right? You know what I mean? Gettleman can only bring players in, right? Getting them to perform or getting the best out of them a lot of times has to do with coaching. Now, maybe we didn't have the right coaching. I don't know. I know we didn't have, when you had Shermer here and you had Judge, we did not have great coaching. Right? Maybe the offensive line coaching was not phenomenal. Maybe we're not getting the greatest. I don't know. Who knows? But, maybe Gettleman was right. I mean, as I said, you can see how special Saquon was with a crappy offensive line, crappy offense. You can see what Saquon meant for the New York Giants. But you can also see putting him behind a really good offensive line, Saquon Barkley might make history next week against the New York Giants. Wouldn't that be ironic, right? The Giants don't re-sign him. They tried to re-sign him, but then however you want to look at it. But he winds up breaking the record against his former team at home, right? Man, how ironic would that be? But maybe Gettleman, was on to something after all, right? And interesting when you get that second overall pick, is it, if you want to see a Hall of Fame player with pick number 2, and if he'd been with the Eagles all along, Saquon probably would have a lot more rushing yards than he does right now, and he'd be much closer to being a Hall of Fame candidate if he was with the Eagles than he was with the Giants. So maybe Gettleman was right after all, picking Saquon. I mean, because you're not taking a running back at number 2 overall. That's just crazy. But I might make history next weekend against the New York Giants. So maybe Dave Gettleman was not that crazy after all. And then speaking of crazy, just want to end this with this. I just seen this, and it's just unbelievable. I seen this. This is just crazy. I seen this after the Giants, of course, won their football game. I seen a couple in some of the Facebook groups. Couple individuals made some comments. What are the Giants doing? I guess the Giants don't want to draft a black quarterback after all, or the Giants don't want one of those black quarterbacks, I guess, or something like that. Making remarks like that, and it just. To me, it's just absolutely amazing, And I also see a couple, just absolute total idiots. they just say, they're like yelling at Drew Lock and this, that, and the other thing is, winning meaningless games. What are you doing winning meaningless games? And these guys are just absolute idiots. It is simply amazing. They're like actually yelling or complaining to the Giants that the Giants are actually winning games. That's what these guys are there for. That's what these guys do. That's what they train for. There's nobody there that gets a rat's rear end about any quarterback, any player in the draft. You play to win the game each week, each and every week. Right? These guys play to win the games. And it's just, I see so many of these idiots out there, yelling at Drew. What are you doing, Drew Lock? Throwing touchdown passes. Don't you know we need the number one pick? And it just absolutely, people are just so unbelievably stupid. It really is. And I said, and then an actual couple comments in there about people wanting, or the Giants obviously aren't going to draft a black quarterback because the reason why they won is because they don't want to draft a black quarterback. Now, if there was a white quarterback there, if there was a white quarterback in number one, the Giants would have thrown the game. But because there's a couple of black quarterbacks there, the Giants, we can't be drafting a black quarterback. So we need to win this game, so we can't draft a black quarterback. It is absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I said the way it works is, it's in a gunfight. All right. The whole season, it's a gunfight. Everybody's, guns are going off. There's smoke and there's dust and everything like that. And everybody's shooting bullets and everything, dust and all this stuff. And everything. After the season's over with, right? And you're in a gun battle to win the gun battle, right? To shoot your opponent, right? Right. After the season's over with and the gun battles are done, the smoke clears, the dust settles and all that, then you step back and you look where you're drafting at. Nobody gives a rat's rear end about where, none of these players do. They don't care. And I mentioned this in one of my videos last night. Drew Lock is not signed with the Giants. The Giants don't have a quarterback under contract next season. Drew Lock is a free agent. What do you think Drew Lock's going to want to do in this game against the Colts? His financial future is based a lot on this game up here. He just threw 2 pick sixes the other week. Right? What do you think he's going to want to do? Throw another 5 pick sixes in this game? You think that's going to help his financial future? You think that's going to help get picked up by another team? Absolutely not. He's going to want to ball out and play as best as he humanly possibly can. The same thing with a lot of these other guys, right? If the Giants don't bring these guys back, these guys want to go out there and play as well as they can. Most of them. I'm not saying there aren't a couple rotten apples here or there, maybe, who have kind of packed things in already. Most, 95 to 98%, whatever, are out there to play, okay? So they're putting good stuff on film. So if the Giants don't bring them back, somebody else will pick them up. Or if they're looking, if they're maybe a good veteran or something like that, they want to still put some good stuff out there. So if another team does pick them up, they're not making the league veteran minimum. They're not making $900,000. They want to make some money, right? So to actually honestly think that the Giants are particularly throwing a game just so they don't have to be there and face the fact where oh my God, we're pick number 1. We might have to pick a black quarterback. Why didn't we throw more football? That's just stone cold crazy. If the Giant, wherever the Giants wind up drafting, right? Say they're pick number 4. For whatever reason, right? If Cameron Ward's there, Cameron Ward, whatever, is there at pick number 4, if he warrants the 4th overall pick to this regime, they're going to draft him. I know a lot of people, particularly, a lot of people, certainly a certain demographic of people out there, right? Who really got rubbed the wrong way in 2019 when pick 6 rolled. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people didn't want. Hold on here. Who was the guy? Let's get. Let me. there was the one defensive player. Was it Allen? I think it was the defense. Let's go to the next season, the 2019 draft. I was Allen, right? Was it Allen? Daniel Jones. No, who the hell was it? Who was the? Oh, Allen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Josh Allen. Yeah. Who went to the? Who went pick 7? Yeah. A lot of us wanted that guy. But what wound up happening was where did he wind up getting drafted here? 15. Okay. And he's not even in the league anymore. Not even in the league anymore. Well, what wound up happening got rubbed a lot of. I said a lot of people wanted Allen, but what rubbed a certain demographic of people out there really the wrong way was in 2019, right? When it came to a quarterback, pick 6, certain demographic of people out there wanted Haskins. Oh, and when the Giants took Daniel Jones, who happened to be white, the demographic of people who wanted Haskins, who maybe might have been a different color of people, right? Just bam, pop the racist card out there. The Giants are racist because they took Daniel Jones instead of taking the black quarterback. So the Giants are racist. I remember Chris Carter. I don't remember what, because he's an idiot. He's a racist, worthless piece of trash to me. He called the Giants racist. So it's so easy to bam, pop the racist card out there, right? He called the Giants racist because they drafted Daniel Jones instead of Haskins. Okay, because Haskins had better collegiate numbers. Well, Haskins is probably throwing to 2 first-round wide receivers. He's with Ohio State, right? So he completed 70% of his passes. Meanwhile, Daniel Jones completed maybe 59% at Duke. You don't go to Duke to play football. You go to Duke to play basketball. Okay, you go to Ohio State to play football, right? So because Haskins had better numbers in college, obviously he was the better quarterback, and obviously he'll be better in the NFL than Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones only had 59 or 60% completion at Duke. So obviously Haskins is definitely the better quarterback. Now, maybe the reasons why the Giants drafted Daniel Jones was because he was the better quarterback. Haskins isn't even in the league anymore. Daniel Jones still is. So therefore, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is a Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. All right. But maybe Daniel Jones was the better quarterback. That's why the Giants drafted the white quarterback instead of the black quarterback. I'm not saying Haskins was unbelievably horrible, but he was not as good as Daniel Jones. That's why the Giants drafted the white quarterback and not the black quarterback, because he was the better quarterback in the NFL. Right? It's so easy to look at stats and all that. Oh my God, Haskins completed 70% of his passes. This guy's Hall of Famer. You got to draft him. No. See, the NFL teams and scouts and all owners and GMs, they know a lot more than we do. We know a lot. They know a lot more. It's still not perfect. Far from being a perfect science as far as drafting a quarterback, especially in the first round. Right? Far from being perfect. But they know a lot more than we do. They said, I never forget that Chris Carter was on some episode. I can't remember what it was. And he said, the Giants drafted Daniel Jones instead of Haskins. And he said, yeah, they're racist. They're racist. Yeah. Drafting a white quarterback over a black, because the Giants are racist. Just absolutely so stupid. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. No, so maybe they drafted him because he's a better quarterback, right? So if there's ever a point in time where the Giants need a quarterback, if there's a black quarterback there, if the regime thinks the guy's good enough, right, to take him to the promised land, don't matter what color it is. If he's white, if he's brown, if he's green, if he's orange with purple polka dots, they're going to draft him. I mean, you think Dable wants to lose his job? I mean, it's like you think Shane and Dable want to lose their job? No, they want to keep their job, right? Or if they were to be let go, they want to have what do you think? Dable wants to have a losing record? You think Dable wants to have a coaching record of 10 and 552 on his record? No, if he wants to go someplace else and become a coach, right? He wants to have a good record. So you actually think that Shane and Dave were there, well, we want to win a lot of games. We want to win Super Bowls. We want to be successful. And if we're successful, next time our contracts come up, we'll make even more money and all that. You know, so I mean, you think they're like huddling around. It's like, well, I'll tell you what, that Shador Sanders, we're on the clock. We could take Shador, and he might win us some Super Bowls. He's that good, but he's black. I'm not drafting a black quarterback. Man, I'd rather go winless the next 10 seasons with a white quarterback than draft a black quarterback who might win us. You got to be crazy, absolutely crazy. If it comes time, if one of those quarterbacks is there, let's not forget about Milroe, maybe in the second round, right? If we take a stud, maybe cornerback or defensive tackle or something, whatever, early on in the first round, if we don't get one of those other two, or if they're not warranted with the number 3 or number 4 overall pick, because then you'd be reaching. You don't want to reach, right? But if they take somebody in the first round and Milroe, we got an early second round, don't forget, right? If it's the Patriots, if it's the Titans, and it's the Browns in front of the Giants, right? When the second round rolls around, right, if Milroe's still there, the Patriots, the Browns, and the Titans, the Patriots don't need a quarterback. The Titans might have taken Shador. The Browns might have taken Ward. So with the 4th pick in the second round, the New York Giants take Jalen Milroe, because I heard he's got a lot of upside to him. He's, he need apparently, it's what I'm hearing. He could use some coaching and some fine tuning, but I heard he's got a lot of upside. So he may not get taken maybe in the first, maybe in the second round, the Giants take him. But if there's ever a chance where the Giants need a quarterback, right, and there's one there, right? I mean, you just out of your freaking mind if you think that they're not going to take the guy because he's black. That's just absolutely freaking bananas. That's just so ridiculous. I mean, who cares what color the guys are? If he's white, who cares? If he can take us to the promised land, you draft the guy. I don't care what color they are. Draft them. Let's go, baby. Let's win some Super Bowls. So, I mean, it just they're trying to they're trying to win games so they don't draft a black. That's freaking ridiculous. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. Somewhere along the line, don't know when, but the Giants, New York Football Giants, are going to have a black quarterback. It's stone cold lock guarantee. Don't know if it's next year or what, but somewhere along the line, the New York Football Giants will have a black football quarterback. And you know what? I hope he wins us a freaking 100 Super Bowls, baby. I'll be his biggest fan. Let's go, Giants. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 27, almost 28 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah!